chronic blushing, excessive skin flushing, and the psychological effects. That's what we're gonna talk about today, so stick around. Groceries have been delivered. You know how it is with coronavirus. Oh, hold on. We gotta wipe down everything. Can you imagine a time when we didn't wipe everything down? Or maybe you don't wipe everything down. I'm nervous, so I'll wipe it down. Oh, and my tattoo is healing up very nicely. Children are in the pool. Oh. Woo.
Hola.
It's Sunday. Can we talk about laundry? Laundry. So much laundry. It'll be clean, but it'll be a minute before we put it away. So I'm going to enjoy me a little bit of green juice because I kind of had a lot of wine last night. I'm gonna fold up some laundry here. The kids are in the pool. Normally on Sunday we do a little bit of food prep for the week, even in quarantine. A little bit of food prep, a little bit of hydration, a little bit of spot cleaning, and some organizing for the week just to keep things moving, if you know what I mean. Sort it out first. I started sorting through laundry, putting theirs in a pile and saying, you handle yours and I'll handle mine. And my son, who's 7, who doesn't do laundry very well yet. So it actually just makes it easier on me if I just do it myself. So if you're tired of laundry and you got 14 million people in your house who keep having laundry for you to clean, put it in a pile, sort it out, make them do it their damn selves. Some of your husbands aren't gonna let you listen to me anymore, but that's okay. What do you do on Sunday to make sure that your week is a little smoother for you? Leave that in the comments below because I'm curious to know, how do you get your rest time in over the weekend and get yourself prepared for the week? Do you just fly by the seat of your pants all week long? Been there, done that too. Oh, and I take all socks and undergarments and I just throw them in a pile, and I get to that later. That's too much. That's just too tedious. I ain't got time for all that. It's been so clean already. I love it. All right, so now I've got everything sorted. Can you see? Everything's kind of sorted out here. And now I will start actually folding it. The thing that's really cool about vlogs is that I know when I watch someone's vlog, I feel like I'm really getting to know them and I get to see, like, I mean, you're looking at my laundry right now. I'm folding my laundry. I always love watching people's vlogs and seeing inside their house and getting to know them a little bit better, because I think it just reminds me of when I was younger and you'd have friends over all the time. We don't have a lot of people over a lot. We don't have a lot of family. My parents pretty much like rolled out. I'm from Oklahoma originally, and my dad was from Texas. My mom is from Oklahoma. And I just don't think they had the best family situations. My mom's dad died when she was 4. Her mother was an alcoholic. I remember her. I remember my grandmother. She died when I was like 13 or something. But my dad's mom, I mean, I guess she was alright, but I just wasn't really close with her. She lived in Oklahoma, and he found his father dead when he was 16, I believe. His dad had pretty much drank himself to death, had a heart attack, I believe is what happened. They wound up moving from Oklahoma to Tennessee just to get away from everything and start their lives over. But what's really crazy is that my husband's situation is very similar, except some of his family is like right down the street from us, and I don't even know who they are. So anyway, I didn't grow up with a lot of family. Didn't grow up like with cousins running around and all this fun stuff happening all the time. I mean, I had friends in my neighborhood, but not the family thing. So to be able to watch people's vlogs and see their home life and watch them make food, it always reminds me of what it would be like if I had family in the home with me a lot. Just dropping by, helping me cook, helping me clean. You help me do my laundry. That's kind of how I feel sometimes when I watch other people's vlogs, which is why I decided, why don't I just let y'all come in here while I'm folding my laundry and I will talk to you, because you're real people on the other side of that screen, which is really cool, because I remember when I started this channel, I was talking into the abyss of nothingness in hopes that one day there would be somebody on the other side. And I know you now. I know your names. Some of your names. Some of you who interact. I know your name.
Cold out there. Hello.
This is Trinity. I don't think she's made a debut yet.
Let's go in the bathroom.
Oh.
I better shut the door. You don't want to hear him grunting.
Is he pooping? Take the whole thing, Trin. That's all yourself. Just take it. You dropped. See how easy that was? She picks her pile up. She takes it with her. I don't fold it. Here's the secret of what I do with my husband's stuff. Let's just turn you towards it. This is his dresser. I'm not even kidding you. This is what I do. Open a drawer. Grab a pile of clothes. And throw it in there. Grab another pile of clothes. Clean, fresh, amazing. Throw them in there. That's the arrangement that I have if I'm gonna do laundry for the people in this house. If you want your stuff organized, you can organize it yourself. Here's how I put my stuff away. So when you do your laundry and everybody else's laundry, you make up your own damn rules, all right? Wife of the year. Nice. Nice and easy, breezy, organized and clean. Boom. Cleaned up. Accomplished. It's the little things. All right, goodbye. Today I wanted to share the story of Brandon Thomas. Brandon Thomas committed suicide when he was 20 years old. He was a chronic skin blusher, and the psychological effects were just so heavy that he just didn't want to go on another day. And also, he felt that through his death, the awareness of how serious chronic skin flushing can be would maybe help others who have skin flushing talk about it, but also others who don't understand or think, well, I blush too, that it would put them in a headspace to know this is actually really serious and maybe we can stop some of the stigma around it. May 29th, 2012, Brandon, who was a student at the University of Washington, jumped from his 11th floor balcony. He left a 5-page letter to his parents just explaining in detail the distress that he was undergoing pretty much minute by minute through skin flushing, chronic blushing. Some of you have shared with me and I have shared with you in the past about my own story and your stories with chronic skin blushing and flushing, and that it is incredibly exhausting. It is mentally exhausting because you're constantly worried about what other people are going to think. When I was doing some of the research on Brandon, I learned that from that 11th floor, he would take the stairs because he did not want to get on the elevator with someone in fear that he would start blushing. And because of that chronic blushing, he developed erythrophobia, the fear of blushing. So it is that self-perpetuating, self-fulfilling prophecy that you're going to blush and turn red, or for some of us, skin flush and turn red. And you will, because that's what erythrophobia does to the mind. One of the big things that Brandon wanted people to know was that we don't blush or flush because we are anxious or upset or fearful or embarrassed necessarily, because we think when we see somebody with a red face, we think, oh, look at you. Or you guys have probably seen this happen before where they go, oh, look at how red he's getting. Look at how red she's getting. And it's kind of this normal thing. But what people don't understand is that when it's pointed out to a skin blushing person, it is awful. It's psychologically exhausting. So what Brandon wanted people to know is that that is not the cause of skin flushing a lot of the time. Like, yes, you may turn red because you're embarrassed or because something made you blush, hence embarrassment. But a lot of times that extreme skin flushing and chronic blushing is due to an overactive nervous system. I've shared a lot on this channel that the reason why I have so much of my flushing is what I think is coming from some sort of cortisol, histamine reaction, but that is all stemmed from an overactive nervous system. And so when we get the time to talk about it, or we get space to explain to someone without getting pointed at, or why are you so red, or are you embarrassed? Oh, look at how embarrassed you are. Or for some of us who have the chest and neck flushing, people think we're having an allergic reaction, and so they think we're dying, and out of genuine concern, they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Which then just like spirals our psychological aspects of I now have to explain and I have got to share to stop this judgment, but it really does come from an overactive nervous system. And throughout my research, I was reading that it's not coming from psychological effects. It's coming from biological effects in our makeup. Now, some of us have not always been a flusher. I know for Brandon, a thing he shared with his mom is that he had been struggling with that for 4 years before he started talking to her. And his mother, Dawn, she had shared that he was just so far in that pit of despair by the time they could start working with him to try to find some solutions, get him into some therapy, get him on beta blockers and antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication. It just was too heavy at that point. You know, I was also reading that about 5 to 7% of the world's population suffers from some sort of skin flushing disorder, if that's what you want to call it, whether that be chronic blushing or excessive flushing. So this is why we have gathered here on this channel and we feel this relief of like, oh my gosh, there's others out there like me, is because 5 to 7% is not a lot. I mean, if you think about the world on a massive scale, that's a good sliver, but you're not probably going to hear or see that a lot in your social circles because 5 to 7% is really not a huge part of the population. So it can easily leave us feeling that we're alone, that there's no help for us, that there's no solution. And I've talked a lot about how a lot of times it can seem discouraging because there are so many factors that can play into why your skin is turning red. When ultimately, when we really break it down, we can talk about it is your blood vessels that are dilating. They're expanding near the skin. When they expand like that, they come up near the skin, and that's what causes that red flushing look and the blushing look on your face or chest or neck or your ears, and tends to draw attention because you just went from one shade of a color to another. But truly, it's just your blood vessels are dilating due to a nervous system response from adrenaline. Now, finding where that adrenaline trigger is what can become very overwhelming. If you have a sensitive nervous system, that's not by your choice. And I've talked about this before on this channel, is that a lot of times I think that we are connecting shame and guilt to something that we absolutely cannot control. Now, on this channel, oftentimes I want to talk about the psychological effects. I want to talk about cognitive behavioral therapy. I want to make sure that we are getting our minds in a place to be able to work through some things that might be contributing to some skin flushing and social anxiety and all those other pieces that we can get to from our brain and our mind. But recently I talked about how, on one of my Instagram stories, I talked about how I went to see my functional neurologist, and we were talking about, although the mind can process, or you may have gone through therapy and learned how to process with your mind, a lot of times our body is still remembering. And so getting to the nervous system, especially an overactive nervous system, getting to that nervous system and releasing any sort of trauma that may be stored in the body can be a little more difficult. But I would highly suggest that you take those routes to make sure that you are releasing from your mind, from your body, meditation. And this is not 5 easy tips to just stop turning red. It's work. And ultimately, with that work, the reason why I talk about radical acceptance is because I think when we're striving for, I don't want this to happen anymore, we put this extra added pressure on top of, I can't make this stop, when we're not making it happen to begin with. It's one thing to set out to have weight loss goals. You know the formula to be able to get those weight loss goals to happen. And if you don't stick to that formula, you're not going to get the result that you're wanting at the end of the day. But when it comes to skin flushing, you can have a checklist of 20 things and follow all 20 of those things and still blush or flush throughout that day. Those feelings of, I could not accomplish what I set out to do today and I followed the formula, are going to leave you feeling hopeless. They're going to leave you feeling out of control, in despair, silently suffering. And that's why I opened up this space for us to be able to talk, and even on the Instagram page, to be able to talk about what you dealt with today, to talk about things that have worked for you, to talk about how I did flush today, but not nearly as much, and feeling this sense of accomplishment that our body is working with us and not against us. And even at the end of the day, talk about your kids and your spouse and what you did this weekend, because you are not the redness. It's just something that comes along with you. My husband and I were watching this food show. I can't remember what it's called, but it's on YouTube, and it's a series on YouTube. And this white man, very fair skinned white man, light eyes, he goes to different Asian cultures and he tries their cuisine. And they were sitting out in the street and they were like eating street food, I guess. And I told my husband, I said, look at him. He's really red right now. I mean, he looks like he's hot, like sweaty hot, not hot, but sweaty hot. And you could just see like the splotch up his neck and across his chest. And I said, does that really stand out to you that he's turning red like that? And he said, no, not at all. And I notice it because I turn red. And so I'm very quick to pick up when other people are turning red, but I really didn't even pay it much attention. And so what I think that's going to show and continue to show, and you may have had conversations with people that you know that are like, it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal in our minds, but when you see somebody else, it actually doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. And so maybe others are looking at you like, I see it, I notice it, but I like you and I don't think that's a big deal. So the psychological effects of skin flushing and chronic blushing are heavy. So much so that in Brandon Thomas's story, he committed suicide. And if you are a person who's been in despair before, I'm not condoning suicide by any means, but I can surely understand it. I can understand how you can get so far in that place that that's what makes sense to you. So this is not about whether what he did was right or wrong. I don't think that that's even anything we should be talking about. I think in honor of Brandon, I wanted to create this video to, number one, bring his name back up, because I don't know about you, and I may have not gotten to the point yet where I had thought about or contemplated suicide for my skin flushing, but you guys saw my first video, or maybe you've seen my first video when I first came to this channel and created the channel. I am like, I can't. I've got to talk about this. I'm like dying on the inside. So who's to say a little while longer, just kind of suffering by myself, that would not have been an option for me. For you on this channel, whether you've been around from the beginning or you just showed up, we want to carry on Brandon's legacy through talking, through voicing, through awareness, through giving ourselves a break that you're not making yourself flush. And as long as you are taking some proactive steps to make sure you're taking care of yourself, just your body, your mind, your whole person, the well-being of yourself, not just in the arena of skin flushing, but in the whole system. Just take care of you. You can know that you are not broken, and that yes, you may turn red. Yes, your friends may not be turning red, and that does make you different. It's interesting to me that we so much so want to be individuals and not be compared and not be in these big groups of all looking the same. And yet when something happens with us that makes us look a little different or stand out from the crowd, we feel so alone and different and judged, and just want to do whatever we can to fit back in with the masses. We're at conflict with ourselves already. And so being able to be in those safe circles where you can show up with that redness and talk to your friends about the redness and let them know too, hey guys, when you guys point that out, it actually makes it worse. If I see you staring at it, like on my chest, I know that you're staring at me turning red right now, and it makes me feel really insecure. I really need your help to work through this psychologically, to know that I'm accepted regardless of whether I'm turning red or not. And if you don't have friends where you can do that, a safe place where you can do that, I would say you might need to reevaluate your friends. So yes, skin flushing can create a plethora of psychological effects. Social anxiety, actually, I've got a note over here. It says 2 different studies showed 60% on one study and 90% on the other study. They met the diagnostic criteria for social anxiety disorder. So people with chronic blushing, on one set of studies, it was 60%, and on the other study, it was 90%. 90% social anxiety disorder. Well, duh. As if people aren't already enough of a perceived threat inside of our systems. If you turn red, you don't want that judgment. You don't want to be pointed at. You don't want to be called out for turning red. Because of the stigma that it's tied to embarrassment, it's tied to hiding something, it's tied to being upset or angry. I've told you guys before that when people see me at work start to flush up my neck, they think I'm getting upset about something. I'm not getting upset about anything. I'm just existing with an overactive nervous system. But being able to educate people, whether that be through a small conversation, explaining or not explaining, it's up to you. If you want to explain it today, explain it to somebody. Hey, I just have an overactive nervous system and it does that. And either they will be open to understanding and be like, wow, that's interesting. Or they'll be like, sure, you're embarrassed. And it doesn't matter. I know it matters in here sometimes, but I promise you it doesn't matter. And you don't have to stay around people who make you feel small or that you're suffering silently. You can always connect here. You can always connect within the tribe of the Lean In Warriors. And you can let people close to you know, hey, I want to talk to you about something that's going to sound kind of crazy, but when I turn red, whenever we're XYZ, I'm actually internally struggling with that a lot. And of course, always talk therapy, exposure therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, any sort of place where you can talk and get that out with a safe person. And again, you don't have to pay for therapy for that. You can just talk to a really close friend or family member just to be able to get that out of your head so that it doesn't become so big and isolating inside of here, because that can happen, and it does happen. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you today. I really wanted to talk about Brandon Thomas, and a young man with so much life ahead of him because he was suffering silently for so long. He fell into such despair and really felt like he would never be able to have a successful career and relationship and things that the mind can really make you believe. In honor of him, I wanted to speak of him because it's been 8 years since he passed away, and I totally understand what he was going through. And I'm sure a lot of you do too. And if bringing awareness and talking about this heaviness on this channel would prevent one of you from going through with feeling like that was your only option, it is worth it, hands down. And just think about, as we're openly talking about this, how many other Brandon Thomases are checking the internet to see, is there any hope for me? And they stumble upon this channel and they start seeing how many other people can identify with this alongside them, and that they're not alone, and that they can have a safe place to talk about it and just get out of their head. Because the psychological effects of skin flushing are very real. But there is hope and there are options. I'm learning that my nervous system is just incredibly overactive, and that's okay too, because I'm going to keep showing up and I'm going to keep encouraging you, and I'm going to keep encouraging myself that the redness that shows up on us does not get to identify who we are as people or make us any less as people. Because we got a lot to offer. We got a lot to say and a lot to offer, and I'll be damned if skin flushing is going to stop us. Well guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you're enjoying some of the different blog style that I've been doing. A little more somber. I'm not as upbeat, I guess, with this one because this one's super sad to me. I think that I'm trying to get through talking about Brandon Thomas, and I realize like this is a real thing for people, and how many people just don't know yet that there is hope. But anyway, that's what I have for you today. I hope you've had a great week. The doorbell's ringing, and I'll see you all in my next video.